Mr. Meier. It's always nice to see you.
And good to see you too.
Because most of the time when we talk, we have good news.
Yes.
Well, you know, on Yonkers Voice, people are complaining about the potholes. But today you have good news. It's been fixed.
We always have good news. So first of all, since January, we've repaired 6,000 potholes. Now,
6,000.
6,000. Now you say, okay, what does that mean? A normal year, whole year, we do 4,000. In 3 months, we've done 6,000.
Well, small potholes or good
All
size?
sizes.
Okay.
Small, big, medium, deep, shallow, cracks, crevices, 6,000. Now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, I don't know why all these potholes are popping up. Usually they're related to freezing weather. The water gets underneath, freezes, pops up, traffic runs over it, it starts peeling away, and it creates a pothole. We didn't have a particularly very cold, frigid winter. A couple of years ago, we had the whole month of February was below freezing, below 30 degrees, below 32 degrees. So, you know, I could understand if it was that kind of winter. It wasn't that kind of winter. But anyway, we have all these potholes. A lot of people complaining about Central Park Avenue. Now, they call us and we tell them it's a state road. They call the state tells them they have an agreement with the city of Yonkers to maintain the state roads, which is true. They're not lying. However, there's the language in the contract is maintaining, we clean it, we fill small potholes. Central Avenue needs an entire resurfacing. That's not what the city of Yonkers is responsible for under the contract. So last year, Senator Shelley Mayer, I think she might have still been the assemblywoman, pressured the Department of Transportation to come down and fix it. So at the end of the summer, we were like, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? They said, we're not putting the contract out until the spring. So we got together with DOT. We said, okay, we'll fill the potholes. You come and do a layer of asphalt, and that should last for the winter. And it did last for most of the winter. It just started popping up in March. And we started getting a lot of complaints again. So we talked to DOT and they said, well, the contract's out on the street, it hasn't closed yet, we don't know when we're going to get to it, it might not be till the summertime. So just this last week and this week we've been out on Central Avenue, we bought a new piece of equipment which cost us $2,000, which actually just skims over, puts a skim coat on top of and fills the potholes, and then we follow it with a roller, and that's a good patch for hopefully another couple of months until DOT comes in and they do a complete remilling and a complete resurfacing of that part of Central Avenue.
Now, Commissioner, you know, on Yonkers Voice, people always tell me that I'm too soft with you.
Give me a hard question.
I have a reputation to maintain.
Okay.
I have to give you a hard question. Okay.
Give me a hard question.
I got to show them that I can handle this. If I live, you know, what most people say is, if you live in a nice area, there is no potholes. The parks are fixed. The children playground are nice. But if you go to Locust Hill by Martin Luther King School, the fence is in disarray. It's unsafe for the children. This is the city, your department plays favoritism in a way.
Absolutely not.
So why isn't that park
I grew up on the west side. I grew up in Getty Square, right where the new firehouse is being built. That's where I grew up.
Different times, sir.
Different times, but that's where I'm from, and that's the part of the city that I love. Okay, now I'm kind of in the middle of the city. I'm not completely on the east side. I'm not on the west side. I'm in the middle of the city. I treat all Yonkers fairly and equally. Now, as far as the parks, okay, that's another department. Last time you asked me about parks, so I don't want to answer for the Parks Commissioner. But when we get reports of potholes, or we get reports of guardrails that have been hit and down, when we get reports of graffiti, when we get anything that's related to the Department of Public Works, it gets called in to the helpline. The helpline creates our work orders, gives it out to our bosses. There's no politics, there's no favorites, there's no, the commissioner wants you to do the east side before the west side. They go out and they do their job, okay? And in most times, within a week or two, 98% of those work orders are complete and the work is done. Now, what happens is, the west side of Yonkers is older than the east side of Yonkers. The water pipes are older, so they break more. The streets get cut up more. The infrastructure is all older. Yonkers is an old city. okay? And the oldest part of the city is Getty Square and how it branched out along the Hudson River. The east side was still farmlands 100, 200 years ago. So all the infrastructure that was built there is relatively new, not brand new, but relatively new. The old part of Yonkers, some of it, the waterworks is from the 1860s. It's old. So people have this perception, if it's old, it's broken.
But you know
it's
that,
old, it's antique, it's vintage.
But you know that sometimes perception becomes reality.
Yes.
Okay? And the people who lives in that area, normally it's mostly is low income or low income, they feel neglected.
Okay. I'll tell you another thing that I've learned over 7 years, okay? We don't report enough on the west side. And a lot of people live there, work there, but there's a lot of people who get on the train and go to work down in the city, and they come back. They don't really bother calling the help number. Okay, if they see something that we should be fixing, they call 377 help. 377 help. Okay, we'll get out there and fix it. But I've noticed that I don't want to call them complaints, but the problems on the west side don't get reported as frequently as the problems on the east side. A homeowner walks out their house and they see a pothole and they call 377 help and they report it. An apartment dweller, not to stereotype, but you know, I grew up in an apartment house. We go downstairs. Look, my family didn't even have a car. And my dad never owned a car until I was like 15 years old. We didn't have a car. We walked, we took the bus. It's just a different way of life. So when we come down from an apartment building, we don't make that same phone call.
But you see, the problem is this. People in those areas of Yonkers, they feel like, why am I going to call and report? It's not going to be fixed anyway.
It will be fixed.
But the people on the other areas, they feel like if I call, it will be fixed. You know, and I agree, if you don't report it, it's like it never happened. So guys, you need to report. You were going to tell me something?
Yes. I go to a lot of community meetings around the city. And it's funny. People on the east side think I spend too much resources on the west side. People on the west side think I spend too much resources on the east side. The people on the north side think I spend too much time on the south side. The people on the south side think I spend too much time in the north. I'm all over the city. The department's all over the city. We don't focus on any one particular area. Matter of fact, I wish we could do things a little more planned, because we're responding to a lot of phone calls. So a pothole here and a pothole there and a pothole there. So I tell my guys, relax. I don't expect you to get it done, 5 minutes after the phone call. I expect you to plan it. So plan your work. You get a lot of phone calls for Southwest Yonkers, we go down there. We have 2 asphalt trucks and 2 asphalt trailers. So we'll be able to put 4 teams out. That's 1 in each sector of Yonkers. And we're doing potholes as quickly and as responsibly as we can, because there's different ways to do a pothole. We could throw in coal patch and it lasts maybe hours or days at the most. And on busy streets like this, it doesn't last, minutes. Or we could do it the right way, where we mill it up, square it off, lay the asphalt down, roll it, and it lasts for years rather than days. And that's what we try to do. But that takes time, it's a lot of time. We've experimented with different types of material. We use a product called Aquafoot. It comes in a 5-gallon bucket. You put it right into the pothole with the water in it and everything, and it solidifies in like 5 minutes. It's nice and hard like concrete, but it looks like blacktop. It's very expensive. It's like 4 to 5 times more than doing an asphalt job. People get frustrated in the wintertime, January and February, because we're not doing potholes. You know why? The asphalt factories closed. They're not making asphalt. They close for the winter and they clean things up. Then they open back up and we're able to go back to potholes again. So all these factors come into play. At the bottom, the message here is we've done 6,000 potholes from January 1st to this statistic's like 4 days old. We've done 6,000 potholes. That's a lot of potholes. Call. We will make every attempt to get there within that week or the next week.
So guys, the grass is not greener on the other side. Okay?
Well said.
So call if you have an issue, report it, and if action is not taken, then you have a reason to complain. Unless you report, nothing's going to happen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
You want to go over to Central Avenue? They're doing that portion now. So
thank you.
You look like